Good evening. Tonight's video we're going to be doing MummaBear, which is a Pathfinder Talisman build, focusing specifically on the WARCRY Ferocious Roar, which is a bear skill. This is a random build, so everything about this build was spun using the wheel, all hell the wheel, and we did actually lock Talisman because I wanted to do a bear build, being the league where the bear was released, and it's ended up being quite a good build actually. Probably my strongest build that I've made. I say by myself, but everything is being created through this league by myself. I've not used any research on videos and stuff like that. The only tech that I suppose I've been influenced by is the Sanguineous Furative Wraps, which allow me to leech energy shield, or leech physical attack to energy shield with the converted thing at the back end of it, which is very good. So yeah, it's been a very enjoyable build to make, and I kind of feel like it's in a very good, strong position. So what I'm going to do tonight is we're going to run a map. I'm going to show you the build in action, and then we're going to look through the back end, through the tech, through the passage tree, and the build and the gear and nodes and all that sort of stuff. And the support gems I've created with it, and just show you how I've built into it and what I've done. This build I have very much been playing around different pathing with it, and I'm pleased with the final position on it. I think it's turned out to be very, very good. There is definitely room for improvement in gear to make it stronger and more damage dealing and stuff like that. So yeah, it's got a lot of headroom. I mean, it's got some good gear at the moment. It's good, but it's definitely room for improvement. Anyway, what I'm going to do is jump into a tier 15 map, not fully G, so I can talk and go through it and not concentrate. You know, because I tend to always die when I do these things live. This is going to be a recording live on the stream, so if you guys are watching the stream, welcome in. What we do, we will get to some team gameplay in a bit, but I just want to do the build first of all and go through the running of it. So this is inherently a bloodloss build or a bleed build, both bloodloss and bleed, or corrupted cry. So I talked about the corrupted cry, or the ferocious roar, so to speak, and we've added in corrupted cry, and we're using a specific lineage skill which allows me to stack all the corrupted cry in one hit, which is good, which allows everybody to get this plus 10, plus 5 corrupted cry on them, which is huge. Massive dot. I don't have to spam Ferocious Roar. All I need to do is cast it once, and I get my stack of the corrupted cry. It goes either 5 or 10 depending on how close they are, which is the main thing. And yeah, a lot of AoE, a lot of good damage, which is very nice. A bit useless, but never mind. It's essentially a blood loss build, and I've got Bloodhound's mark actually on my left click, so that I'm always proccing that, because I do get a explosion with it, but I also get mana and life back. Not that I got life from this, because again we've got Chaos Inoculation, and the reason why we've got Chaos Inoculation is it allows us to do the 10 stacks without actually dying. Otherwise we would die very, very quickly on this build. Basically stealth death using the roar. So I am able to I'm able to stay alive. Let me in fact I will just show you. If you look at the enemy's health bar, this is where the so not that one, when I call out the war cry, you can see the blood loss is pretty huge, and also the physical damage on the attack is pretty huge. Basically, the Ferocious Cry scales with physical damage, war cry damage, obviously, because it is a war cry, and so I guess any debuffs as well. And it doesn't scale with blood loss, which is interesting. So we've got to be careful. Attack damage is not an attack as well, so it's a war cry is not an attack. So you got anything that we have regarding sort of physical is important for this build. Let's have a little look. So here we go. The Paquate's pack. Corrupted Blood does 25% of your strength as physical damage per second. Corrupted Blood duration is 5 seconds. Do 2% of maximum life per Corrupted Blood inflicted by supported skills. That is the thing that will kill me. 2% of maximum life per Corrupted Blood. We're going to do 5 or 10 stacks per enemy. So 2%, let's say we do 10 stacks. That's 20%. 5 enemies and I kill myself. However, using Chaos Inoculation, that doesn't matter. So I can just cast it without fear of dying because I have 1 life, and one life is maximum. It will never go down. So it allows me to cast that twice or once. It is depending on how close I am to the enemy. I can either get 10 stacks or 5 stacks. Paul, welcome in. It is looking incredibly strong. It's good. It's a good strong build. This. And the main problem I had was bossing, and this is where the Bloodlust comes into play. So I want to make sure that I am basically hitting enemies as much as possible. I've got a stun there. I'm actually going to use a 2H mace to do more damage. Oh my god, this is where I potentially will die. Please don't die. I've got it. I've got it, boys. There we go. Ha 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 ha. We did it without worrying about dying. It's always that happens when you do these builds live, which this recording. If you're watching this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. The build will be up on the my website as well as YouTube channel, Fragmansaul.com. You'll have a complete loadout of it, and the Path of Building's link as well as the Path of Building stuff will be on there too, which should be pretty solid. So do check that out. I'll show you the website after this. And let's just I want to clear the map for you guys. Energy shield. We're looking just sub 10k energy shield, which is good. And I'm getting energy shield back on kill, which is or on physical. So we've got a bit of leech going on both fizz and on both light, well not light, an energy shield and mana on hit, which is good. Take that from you. As you can notice, I have got Headhunter on this build too. Headhunter's like OP AF. I kind of feel like it is the essential meta endgame belt to have. It just makes life a hell of a lot easier. And what I could do, in fact, is go around clearing up all the rare mobs and then go for the boss. Stack myself up with all the good juicy goodness. Herald of Blood as well. Herald of Blood, obviously, for chain reaction kills, which you just saw then in great effect. There it goes. Pop, pop, pop. And I'm very rarely using the maul as well. I have got maul. In fact, maul's F, and I have maul on the on my main attack, just in case as a backup. But I find like I don't need it anymore, which is good. Have we got? Are we doing anything else? I suppose we could do the just kill the mobs around by the temple. Good. Right. Shall we go through the build? Yeah, I can't. I think I fixed it. I have changed the tree, the pathing tree, or the what do we call it? The passive tree. I've changed the passive tree so many times in this build. It has been incredibly expensive. But I kind of feel like we're in a good place. Lots of testing backwards and forwards to find out where we should go. I know there's different ways we can go with this, and different ways to skin the cat. But I feel this is the strongest one I've got at the moment. Right, we'll start off with the skills. So Ferocious Roar is the main skill with this. Shapeshift into a bear and Roar Defiance, immediately gaining rage if there are enemies nearby and empowering subsequent attacks to break armor. Alternatively, stock it a human form WARCRY into the skill that triggers WARCRY instead and augments its damage in area. This skill cooldown can be bypassed by extending endurance charges. So we actually are using the endurance charge tech to able to us to spam more frequently than the cooldown on it. I've used the seismic cry, so performing a damaging war cry, knock back an enemy and heavy stun enemies that are primed for stun. If an enemy is heavily stunned or currently heavily stunned enemy is hit, this skill empowers subsequent slams to perform an additional aftershock. This skill cooldown can be bypassed by expending endurance charges. Now the reason why I put this in is actually this deals with physical damage. This is like an equivalent of an attack, which means that we don't only get the corrupted cry from Paquate's Pact from the Ferocious roar, but we also get it from the hit from the seismic cry as well. This is why we get 10 stacks, not 5 stacks, which if you get 10 stacks, which is max stats, which means that we got all our corrupted blood is hit in one hit. Now interestingly about the corrupted blood from this is 25% of your strength as physical damage per second. So if we have strength as well as physical damage increase, that will increase the Paquate's Pact damage. All right, important. Brutality for more physical damage. I've got Raging Cry for more rage. Rage is good for basically proccing Walking Calamity, and this really helps us getting that stack up. And interestingly, the Swift Affliction is supported skills deal 30% more non-ailment damage over time. This is a non-ailment damage over time, so it increases it by 30%. This is huge. Now you can check this damage out by, if you look at these two things here, we've got the Corrupted Blood physical damage per second on the war cry, which is only 878, but if you go on to the seismic cry, you can see it 2049.55. that is more damage than, obviously it's scaling more with the seismic cry. So that 2049.55 damage per second per stack, we get 10 of those, so that is instantly 20,000 damage per second just on using that Ferocious cry, and we got 10 stacks of that and the blood loss on top of that as well. That's huge. Okay, so that's why that is so good. I did try, and I was using it without the Ferocious War and Chaos Inoculation. I could get 10 stacks up, but I've had to spam the Roar a lot. This way around, I don't need to use it once, and I've got 10 stacks on it. Obviously Brutality for more damage, physical damage. So really on the tree, we're focusing on strength and physical damage. To follow this up, I've used Ferocious Slam. Now you see the Ferocious Slam. It is this one. All right. So Ferocious Slam, shapeshifting into a bear, stand on the ground, great force, causing a pair of shockwaves. Can be spent rage to deal greater shockwaves that leave behind jagged rounds. So we've got the jagged round tech on that too, which is great. I'm going for the stun build up on this because stun, for me, with the Bloodhounds mark, gives it kind of works in conjunction with blood loss and heavy stun, and then I want to stun them because once I stun them, I can then follow up a hit with Hammer of the Gods. So I got Hammer of the Gods on my back bar, which does a bigger bleed. Right, I've got everything in here to support this. So Ferocious Slam, just go through this on this. I've got rapid attack, so I want to just basically spam this. I've got Rage 3 because there's more attack speed while not a max, but gain 5 rage on hit. I've gone for Incision with this, so it's not bleed, it's Incision, which if I stack that up, when I use Hammer of the Gods, I can get a really big bleed on this. I've got Bleed 4 for more Incision and more damage on bleeding enemies, and then Life Leech. So Life Leech is kind of keeping me alive while I'm doing the hammering. It's 21,000. It's not massive on damage. I could go more damage on this, obviously, with different supports, but it's enough to keep me alive while I'm slamming. Hammer of the Gods, this is our boss. This is what I brought in to deal with the bosses, okay? Like I mentioned, it's got the big bleed, which is huge. Build glory by heavy stunning enemies. So we want a heavy stun, which works really well with the blood loss from the Bloodhounds mark, and as well as the slam. It's got a stun build up on it. And then what is it? So build glory by heavy stunning enemies. When you have maximum glory, you may entreat the ancestor to crush your enemies, manifesting a massive hammer that falls from the sky into your target, slamming into the ground after a short duration and dealing immense damage based on your weapon. So we've got a two-ended mace, which I've catched that physical on it, and then I can get a good bleed off that. Now I've used Concoct, which supported skills consume 30% of your maximum life last charges on use. as I've got Chaos Inoculation, I am no longer using my life flask. So this is a great way of making use of the life flasks and allowing me to do 30% of my maximum life flasks and do 3% more magnitude of bleed, of bleeding they inflict per life flask charge. So I want a life flask. Ideally, I want to go for the life flask charges of 120. However, I want to be able to get life charges back while I'm attacking. So I've kind of gone for a chance to gain life charge. A better one would be, in fact, I just thought about this. I'm not using the Hammer of the Gods actually outside of boss fights. So what I could do to get more magnitude of bleed is go for, and again, we're doing this halfway through a build video, but this is all good. I think I've got one here which has like a high number of charges in it. There's got 108 on there. I think I've got one with 125 on it actually, somewhere. 127 charges. So this, if I had, I'll leave that in there, 127 charges, 30% of 137, we're probably looking at around 40, right? So if I get 40 charges on this, 40 charges, and I get 3% magnitude per charge, so I've got times that 40 by 3 is 120% more magnitude to bleed. That's huge, all right? So I would definitely keep that in now. That's an upgrade. That's an extra 120% more magnitude. I've got 100% chance to bleed. I've got deep cuts for another 100% magnitude of bleeding. This is going to be huge. Heavy swing for more physical damage, which helps. And then Fist of War as well. So because it's a skill that I won't use more than once every 14 seconds, ancestral boosting it is a no-brainer. All right, with the Fist of War 3. So ancestral boosted slams have 30% more damage and 25% increased area of effect. And the ancestral boosted strikes, it's not a strike, it's the slam, and also it doubles the effect. So not only that, it's 60% more damage and 50% more area. Not too fussed about the area. 60% more damage, huge. That's a good synergy with that, and it works well with again the Bloodhound's Mark and the bleed that we get from or the blood loss, sorry, we get from the corrupted cry and bleed. Okay, synergy all over the place on that. Walking Calamity is like a big AoE thing for clearing. We build glory by gaining rage, and while already at maximum rage. So we're going to get up to maximum rage with the fact that we've got in the Raging Cry. Now, Raging Cry is kind of important to stack this, otherwise it's really going to struggle to kind of to generate enough rage, because we're using it consistently with the Ferocious Slam. Even though we gain rage with Slam, we use it up with the Furious Slam. So for Raging Cry is key to keeping Walking Calamity up. Walking Calamity, obviously you got the meteors and you got all the extra stuff triggering off all over the place. Great for clear. So we've gone for prolonged duration, for longer duration obviously on it. Magnified area 2, so bigger area effect. More stun build up. I've just chucked this in. Don't know if that's the right one to do. Ocean's Oath for mana leech from supported skills based on elemental damage over physical. Obviously there's a lot of elemental fire stuff going on. And then execute. Support skills deal 50 more damage against targets that are on low life. I thought that was quite useful to have in there as well. Herald of Blood, I've gone for poison, bursting plague, corrosion. The reason behind this, I mean, the corrosion is probably debatable whether we want that in there. We do enough break armor as it is, but the bursting plague is great because it does 100% of damage per second to enemies plague, up to 20% of maximum damage. This allows us everything to kind of like pop, 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 and blow up. Life leech and Erkin smelting. So when we break armor, they do extra fizz. I mean, I debatable whether that actually is doing anything as much with the corrosion. I think those two probably, we'll see. They may work, but in a boss fight, less so. Bloodhound's Mark. Obviously, I've got this on the left hand, left mouse button, so I'm using this and then roaring and then slamming. The mark, I've got rupture. Supported skills aggravate bleeding on hitting enemy stun. Supported skills aggravate bleeding on hitting heavy stunned enemies. So while we had that up, obviously, if they are bleeding, then we get this sort of like aggravated bleed on that, which is good. It's 100% more bleed damage. Mark for death. Enemies marked by supported skills have armor broken equal to 15% of their physical damage. So we are going to be breaking the armor for this. Overabundance, so I can do 2 of them. Better for like clearing. Mark with siphoning 2. This is where I get mana leech and life leech, so I get regeneration of my shield and regeneration of my mana, and then charge mark as well. So support skills trigger charge mark when they are activated. Don't know how well this activates. It's okay. Anyway, whatever. Overwhelming presence. So this is going to help me with the stun threshold of enemies by 24%, and I've got I don't know, Armored Demolisher was able to stack in here. I don't know actually does anything on that. And then Delilah's Desire, which +1 to level of all support skills and 10% equality of support skills, so that kind of works really well. And then the attrition. This is another thing for bossing, right? This helps to kind of do more damage. You have Colin Strikes against rare and unique enemies that have been in your presence for a total of at least 29 seconds. So literally 29 seconds into a boss fight, if the boss isn't already dead, this will then ramp up my damage. You deal 1% more hit damage to rare and unique enemies for every 2 seconds they have been in your presence, up to 52%. So basically I get that stacking the stacking damage over time, and then obviously the culling effect over 29 seconds, which I kind of it's a bit of a hidden gem. That I think it works really well for bossing and just kind of like helps you kind of turn that tide towards the back end of the fight, which is really, really good. So yeah, that's the loadout. We have got Maul in here as well for life leech, rapid attacks, bleed, and heft. If I want to put a bleed on the enemy, I can slam out the Maul. Just kind of like, you know, and I have that on F at the moment, but I kind of fight Bloodhound's Mark is just better all round. I mean, if I was bossing, I'd probably switch those two around and have Maul on the left click and F for the Bloodhound's Mark, but I kind of feel when I'm clearing maps, having Bloodhound easily accessible is much better in terms of flow. The other thing to point out on this is the Bloodhound's Mark cannot be cast on the on a talisman. It has to be cast on a back bar or on a weapon such as a mace. So just be warned, it won't. I can't equip it on weapon set 1 as a talisman, which means that you'll notice I keep going into human form, which is good interaction there. Just to let you know on that. Right, onto the path. This is like being the favourite bit. Obviously with Pathfinder on this, which is kind of really useful. We get this Path of the Warrior, allowing us to allocate both on the Pathfinder, the Ranger side, and the Warrior side, or we can actually spec up here, but we're going Warrior because it's kind of more into the Talisman side of things. We get an extra 6 passive points, which is huge. With the passive nodes either side of the Path of the Warrior. I've gone for 20% increased life charges gained, but I don't, just because I don't know. Could go for the mana charges gained. I've gone for the life charges anyway. And then skill speed, Relentless Pursuit. Your speed is unaffected by slows, which is huge. Extra skill speed, and then Running Assault cannot be heavily stunned while sprinting. This is massive, a huge quality of life. This, and something that you kind of like. You notice when you play other characters that you get knocked down all the time. I think this is a great one to have on the Pathfinder. Right, starting on the Pathfinder or the Ranger side of the tree, I've gone up to Siphon for mana recovery. Picking up every known I've got is strength, by the way. It's a strength build. I'm just going to strat strength. Stat wise, with 635 strength, 174 dex, and 240 intelligence. The resistance is, I could get that a little bit more just in case when we get resistances down, but in fact, let's just pop into front bar because this is where actually the damage is. 630 strength, yeah, 174 dex, 240 int, armor 55, energy shield 9779, and then fire, cold, and lightning 75, 75, 72 respectively. So right hand side of the tree, strength nodes, mana leech, siphon for to recover 2% of maximum mana on kill and 25% increased amount of mana leached. All that important goodness to keeping sustain going. Up to the first dual socket, which I've got global physical damage, life leech, banner skills, 20% increased damage. Possibly could change that. I've got a few things I might be able to change into that. I've then dropped down to Staggering Palm, so increase critical damage bonus, knockback distance, and physical damage. The main one here is the physical damage. Down to Force Wave, again, more physical damage, not bad distance than Stun Build Up. Stun Build Up is great for that. Up to Stylebender for more physical damage, plus 10 strength, which is really good. Hits break 30% of armor on targets with ailments. All that goodness has worked. And then straight up and along up to Chaos Inoculation. This is where we go to maximum life is 1, immune to Chaos and bleed, which is really, really good. Just opposite that, these are kind of must. Shimmering Mirage, gain additional ailment threshold equal to 30% of your maximum energy shield, and Abasement, which is 20% increased stun recovery, gain additional stun threshold equal to 30% of maximum energy shield. That's huge. You've got to have those if you're going to go energy shield build with Chaos Inoculation. So must have those. Next dual socket, global physical, Warcry speed, rage, when hit enemies, and 18 damage for Warcries. Down across to Tempered Mind, increase critical damage bonus, 10 strength, and 20% increased physical, more physical, which is good. And then I've gone for Patient Barrier, which is 6% increased maximum energy shield. This is the first of the energy shield ones we've got. Even though it's slower energy shield recharge rate, we are leeching energy shield, so that's going to really push my energy shield barrier up, which is massive. I mean, that gives you, it's like 1,000 energy shield, massive, massive, massive. Right, back over to the warrior side of the tree, and coming across, I've gone down for brutal for stun build up, melee damage and strength. Oh, I just want to say, by the way, on this, everything on the right hand side of the tree is front bar and back bar. I've got a bit of a back bar, front bar setup with some of the skills that I've chosen. Remember, my back bar is the 200 mace with the ascendancy, ancestral boosting, and the bleed on the that hammer. And then everything else in the front bar is kind of like physical damage. So coming across, the first node to pick up is actually a defensive one, is Iron Slippers. So plus 3 armor per 1 item energy shield on equipped boots. 10% reduced slow potency of debuffs on you. I'm not bothered about slowing effects, I'm immune to slow, but the 3 armor per 1 energy shield is huge, and it's a really good defensive measure. And I kind of feel like just going full energy shield wasn't enough. We are a melee combat build, and therefore we need to be taking hits, and so having armor is a good reduction to that before it then slams into the energy shield. The first front bar one is the shapeshifting one. We've got Swift Claw for increased skill speed, Sharpened Claw for increased physical damage while shapeshifted, and then obviously the nose going up to that are more physical damage. So obviously the main physical damage doesn't work obviously on the back bar, but works well on the front bar. Next one along is Battle Fever. This is front bar and back bar, 25% increased physical damage and 5% increased skill speed. Huge. Now going on to the first, this is the next dual socket, and this is for the Heroic Tragedy with Vorana. This basically turns in the keystone passives and gain no inherent bonus from strength, but increases energy shield per 2 strength. Obviously we're a strength build. This is what gives my energy shield from 4,553 all the way up to 9,799, which is massive, which is really big. So sticking that in really increases my energy shield, and also it actually adjusts and changes war tactics. So if I take that out, projected bulwark, which is 30% increased armor, defend with 100% of armor against projectile attacks, turns into 20% increased mana regeneration and 40% increased physical damage. That's a massive shift, and that works really nicely. So we got the armor on the way up to that, but then that changes to more physical damage. So that's both front and back bar, so it works on the Hammer of the Gods as well as my bleeding. I've gone up for defensive on this next lot, so we're going for Ancient Aegis, which is 60% increased armor from equipped body armor or energy shield from body armor. So obviously I'm a full energy shield, so that gives me an extra 6% boost on that. And I've got the adamant recovery, increases and reductions to armor, also applies to energy shield, which helps as well. So just a little bit more recharge per second on that. Going down to the next load of points. We hit the first node, and then this is the first bat bar one we've got, which is the guided hand. This is the ancestral boosted attacks, deal 30% increased damage, and the channeling heritage, 30% increased area effect for ancestral damage. So the ancestral boost that I get from the Fist of War on the Warhammer, the Hammer of the Gods, is boosted by that little cluster there. Moving up, I've gone for the Cacophony for the increased damage to Warcries. That is a back bar. Front bar. That is red, so that's front bar. And then picked up the next dual nodes, so global physical, shapeshifting, and Warcry damage. Those are the three there that I'm interested in. Flame ability, magnitude, not so much. And then I've gone off to a back bar on this for singular purpose. So this is increased stun build up, damage with two-handed weapons. In fact, this would work well on my front bar, but I just ran out of nodes, so I kind of gone, right, we'll just do back bar on this setup. So increased damage. Dude, I have got a hell of a lot in here, Paul. And then we're going down along front bar, back bar, brute strength, 10% reduced max mana, which is all fine, 1% increased damage per 15 strength. Obviously this is kind of, no brainer. We've got a decent 630 strength in here. I did have 1,000 while leveling, but I kind of felt I need to balance in a bit of defenses on this. So that works very, very nicely. That gives me a huge amount of damage increase. That's next dual socket on the way around. Physical, shapeshifting, rage, and stun build up with maces. Again, we could do better with those. And then goring for increased physical damage and increased amount of life leech. Now, fast metabolism, life leech effects are not removed when unreserved life is filled. That is I say essential. I could do with that, but if I go into my skills on my life leech, I have actually got life leech free. So life leech's supported skill is not removed at full life. So it kind of like it's either one or the other. I've picked it. I've used it on the skill gems and socketed it there. But I suppose if I had enough leech on my rings and on my weapons, I probably wouldn't need to socket it in here. I could free up a socket, but at the moment I've left it off there. So that is the loadout. As you can see, no, I haven't actually. I've used it up. I've stuck up my point in there in brutal actually. So yeah, level 92 at the moment. This is kind of where I'm at with the node. I've done a lot of testing on this. I've been all over the passive tree. I've done backwards and forwards. I've gone all the way around to oh yeah, sorry, I forgot this actually. I've got Jack of all trades as well. Jack of all trades coming from my amulet. We've got Jack of all trades on the amulet, which gives me 2% increased damage per 5 of your lowest attribute. My lowest attribute is dexterity, so I could look at bringing dexterity up a little bit to do more damage. That would be really, really good. I'd probably lose some intelligence actually. That would help, but generally that is that's a good one to have. I have tried actually. I've tried going round and say with polymath, and I was actually building all the way around the tree around here, and I've done lots of bits and pieces and testing, but this seems to be the best balanced loadout so far to date. Finally, onto the gear. So where do we start with this? Let's start on the gloves. The gloves are important for the life leech. The life leech is converted to energy shield. Which obviously I don't want life leech if I have 1 health for chaos inoculation. Just keeps my my shield up constantly, and it's a massive set of gloves for this. So I definitely would recommend bagging a pair of these. The Astromentis Stellar Amulet. Obviously, we are a strength build. This helps elevate everything, and this is the reason why I got Jack of all trades on. Without it, it would be pointless because I wouldn't have a high dex. So we get 120 to all the attributes, plus 8 to all attributes, minus 4 physical damage taken from attack hits. This is massive. It didn't say it's build game changing, but it definitely helps stacking strength, and obviously more strength I have, the more damage I do with Corrupted Cry. The problem about this amulet though is an amulet is a great source of resistances and other forms of damage, so it does kind of like knock a lot of things off, but allows you to focus along the way. Rings, I've gone for leech and resistances and strength. Those are 3 stats that I've been looking for on this. So plus the strength, maxed out resistances. I've gone for all resistances on this across the board, just to kind of like top everything up. And then obviously I've got 7% physical damage as life, leech, and 7.48, so it's 14. That kind of works quite nicely. Boots, energy shield, so specifically fire on this one, but just energy. 25% increased movement speed, could improve that. Bit of intelligence to up that, could be good on dex actually, to get more damage out of that. And then a couple of sockets. I've gone for strength where possible. I'm trying to stack strength as much as possible. Strength is more damage, essentially. It is quite a decent amount of damage as well. So it's worth. I kind of like tried it in resistances, tried it in energy shield. I mean, you could go for the energy shield one if you wanted more defense. I kind of feel like 10k energy shield is okay. I can still get slammed in one hit if I'm not careful, but if I play right and I'm mobile, it does work. I think the I definitely head raid to get maybe 400 energy shield on the boots if I kind of like went end game. This is where I've got a lot of stuff to go into. Yeah, but I'm just stacking strength because more damage is, well, hey, more fun, right? Chest piece, I've got energy shield 814, again with strength and strength. It's kind of like, do I go for energy shield on this? Bear in mind, if I went energy shield on my boots, I would get armor based on the passive node for iron slippers. So, and then energy shield on obviously my main chest piece is going to really uplift my energy shield. So I could go more defensive if I want to, but I kind of got a nice balance here at the moment. But there definitely is scope for more energy shield if needed. I'm finding that I'm struggling at the higher end maps. Helmet, resistances, and energy shield. A max life, rubbish, and life regeneration, complete rubbish in there. So again, there's more tunement on that. But it was like, I think there's like 10 div or something like that. And I just thought, actually, it wasn't even that. It's like 2 div this one. And reduced attribute requirements. I mean, it's just like, it's not really great. Anyway, but the energy shield is great on that. So the Talisman, this is where we've got room for improvement, all right? You want a slow hitting Talisman, but with fast attack speed based on stats, because then you get high physical damage on the initial hit. That's kind of where my mindset's going on this. Physical damage, attack skills, leech, extra physical damage on attacks, attack speed. The companions, useless. I'd probably go for stun build up if I could. If I wanted to go for optimal, I'd knock off the companions and go for stun build up. That is pretty huge. There is room for improvement on this. It's 492. I've seen talismans going up to 1500, so I think we've got a lot of DPS, and I want to do some crafting at some point. But it's not bad, that one. That was 10 div, and that was a 10 div talisman that didn't have the plus level to all skills, and I crafted it on it. We can still val that. I'm not going to val it just yet because I don't want to gimp it, but there is potential for that to go up. Back bar on the mace, high physical damage as much as possible. I've got increased fizz damage, plus 5 to all attack skills. Leech, because leech is nice. A chance to gain onslaught on kills with this weapon, and more physical damage. Again, this was a purchase. I think it was like 10 div. It wasn't massive. And I've gone for more physical on that. The rune slots on here, I've gone for physical, but I have been playing around with leech or playing around with what else is there? Attack speed, leech. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's basically between leech. Basically, if you're dying too much, more leech. If you're not killing enough, more damage essentially. And then the belt, I've gone for headhunter. You get the big boost in strength on the headhunter, which is nice, and then you get obviously that bonus of going around, and when you kill a rare mob, you gain modifiers for 60 seconds, which is huge if you start collecting those. Charms, I've gone for frozen, I've gone for cold resist, and I've gone for the rage when you're on fire, and that's it. That's the build. It's really fun and really good. And by the way, I would say if you want to check out the build on a bit more, you want to revisit it, you can do it over on Fragmansaul.com. I've got my builds up here now. So if you go to the Path of Exile tab, you can have the drop down. You can see all the league builds I've got on at the moment. The rage, the ranger, bear Pathfinder Corrupted Raw build, which is what this is here. This was when it was at the level 87 iteration. I need to update it, and I'll update it from this video. But I've got a whole loadout there and description, and you can see the full tree. I mean, this was the tree beforehand, which is a little bit different to what it is now. But yeah, all that's there on the website, fragmansaul.com, and all the builds will go up here. I've got my previous league builds, and I'm just going to keep doing this. So this will just get more and more and more on that, and we can archive those builds. So do check it out. And yeah, if you enjoy this as a video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to continue the stream now, and we are going to do some maps. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. For you guys in the stream.